Hi guys, my name is Roxana. Welcome back on a new episode of Rising Stars. Before I move on to the interview, a little note. The sponsor of our talk show is Urban Eats MTL. So if you're looking for something tasty for your lunch or dinner, you might be interested in checking out their webpage. And today I have a very interesting guest. She is a very multifaceted, talented person, Kelly Beaudoin. Thank you. Hi, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So I always start kind of with the same question. Let's go back in time, where and how it all started, because I know that you moved to Montreal at some point of time to pursue, I guess, your dream. So tell me about the beginning of the journey.
Sure. Well, I'm not from Montreal initially, so I grew up in a small town, and I was pretty much the only kid at my high school that wanted to do theater seriously. And there wasn't a lot of theater options at my high school, so I didn't have any experience. I did dance in high school, so that's kind of how I got used to getting on stage. I did a little bit of theater, but it was mainly like drama classes in high school. And then I did improv in my first year of high school. That's like when I went from being a shy kid to like, oh, okay, I might be opening up to this world, but I always wanted to be an actor. So for college, I started looking into where I could pursue theater in English. And my gym teacher recommended John Abbott. Of all people, my gym teacher, but
yeah, that was gym teacher.
Yeah, I know. He actually helped me out a lot because with the orientation in high school, she didn't even mention John Abbott. She mentioned Dawson and Saint-Césaire. But then
because that's the normal, the typical jobs that you would go for, like a regular professional.
Yeah, and then Saint-Césaire is in French, and then Dawson was the only other program that I knew that had theater. So I signed up for student for a day at Dawson, and then eventually my gym teacher mentioned John Abbott, and I went there to go check it out with my dad. And as soon as I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to come here. It was like, I don't know if you've been to John Abbott.
I understand. Well, I went once to John Abbott. Because I had my acting class there, and I was impressed. Like, that's just how it looks. It already gives you that, oh God, that's a vibe.
Yeah, I felt like I was in a movie getting there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like Harvard. So
exactly.
And I think the big difference with my experience when I went to explore John Abbott versus Dawson, what kind of made me decide is that John Abbott has kind of like a homey vibe. Like people all know each other. It's in kind of a small town, in St. Anne. So I think it was more like me than Dawson was like in the city and a big building and just so many people. So I think that's what made me lean towards John Abbott, and just meeting people there. I was like, okay, this is where I want to go.
It's my vibe.
Yeah. So I did a 3-year program there. It's a professional theater program, and that's kind of what got the ball rolling.
How did you get though into, because you do also musical, and I always say that for me, like acting is one level, next level it's theater because it's one take, and then it was always for me like a next level from the theater is a musical theater because of how many things you need to multitask at the same time, like and dance and portray the character and not mess up the lines and not mess up the pitch on top of it. So how did you get into musical theater?
I was actually like kind of clueless about musical theater growing up. A lot of people that I know from musical theater, they've been in it since day one, like Broadway. They were brought up with all those songs, those plays. And I kind of challenged myself to go into musical theater last year for the first time, because in my program, a lot of the classes, they get to do a musical, but we didn't get to do a musical. You have just a certain amount of plays that you can do in 3 years.
Just by accident, it was not chosen as one of the
I was with a director that did a lot of American realism, and which was really good for my training. I just didn't get the chance to do a musical. We did like a physical play, but we didn't do a musical. So that was always something that I wanted to try. And you're right, it's like, it's the next level, because you have to incorporate kind of your acting training and then singing and dancing and doing it all at the same time. So it was quite the challenge. I did Greece with Wista. It's a West Island company.
I know very my acting coach. That's how I realized that we have some common friends. My
Yeah.
acting coach, she not acting, sorry, singing coach. She did the same
Yeah,
musical
exactly.
back then. Yeah,
Yeah.
Morgan.
Yeah. So it was nice seeing a lot of the people that I had worked with in the past from the West Island and kind of work with them again. And yeah, it was just incorporating a lot of dancing and singing at the same time as dancing.
How you not lose? I'm always curious how you don't lose the breath.
Yeah, I took it to heart. Like I was like, I need to train for this. So I would go to the gym pretty much every day and run on the treadmill and get my lungs used to getting out of breath. And I would wear layers on the treadmill so that I would get used to the heat and running, because when you're on stage with the lights, it gets really hot and you're dancing in costume and you're singing and dancing. So it's all stuff that you need really good lungs for, and you need to be used to not sweating too much. So I would like run on the treadmill with like a sweater, and I don't know if it helped, but I think it did, because we would do like lung tests in our rehearsal, and mine got pretty good.
Yeah. That's an interesting approach, because it's like a separate special training specifically for the musical.
Yeah, definitely. You have to get in shape. You're dancing every single day, and we had rehearsal once a week. They kind of do it on a longer period of time, so it's not as intensive. And on the weekend we would dance, like 6 hours, 8 hours a day. So
that's like cardio, a long cardio workout.
With my character, I was in almost every dance number, so I was, quick changing and then getting back on and full energy dancing, and then quick changing into something else and then doing another dance. So
is the rehearsal process longer for the musicals versus the regular theater?
It's the same amount of time. I'd say in general, theater usually spends like 6 months rehearsing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much the same for musical theater. I think musical theater, they might do it a bit longer sometimes. I know some shows in Montreal, they go for like 8 months rehearsal.
Because of all the elements that go into the musical play.
I think a lot of it is at home. You have to learn your songs kind of before coming in.
Yeah.
And you have to rehearse your dances kind of on your own, which is a bit different than, I guess, what I was used to before with just normal plays, because it's a lot more focus on the acting when you're doing a play, so you need your scene partners there. So as much as you can work on your own character before,
I get it.
You need to rehearse
with someone.
Yeah. So it's way more focus on the acting. That was something that was less focused on for the musical. I think it was more like putting it all together and rehearsing the songs, rehearsing the dances, and then acting kind of came after.
Okay, so so first you kind of go through putting together all the what goes first when it comes to the musical? Putting together the choreography and then all the different singing, because I guess you harmonize a lot, like it's not just a plain singing. And then they bring the whole acting aspect.
Yeah, the way we did it with Greece is that we learned all the dance numbers, and then once you know the dances, so you know what to do with your body, you start learning the actual words. So when they're teaching you the dances, they're kind of the dance teachers would be like, oh, this move is on this word. So you slowly are learning the song, and then by the time that everyone is comfortable with the dance and comfortable with the words, then you start singing and dancing. So that's like way later, because you have to be so comfortable with the dance that you're not thinking about the dance anymore. Now you're thinking about
if you need to dance on a certain word on top.
Yeah.
That's
and then when you're learning to dance, that was a nice challenge too, is learning how to act as your character when you're dancing, which I had never done before. So my character had to be really solid, that I'm not dancing how Kelly would dance,
Kelly would
but
dance.
I'm dancing how my character would dance, so it would change everything.
And that's the job of the choreographer. So when he teaches you the choreography,
Yeah.
does he bring that aspect, or it's
Yeah.
you on your own developing that?
Yeah, they for this show, the dance choreographers were really involved in the acting process, and they would push us to show that emotion and like, why is your character doing this, and like, how are you dancing like this with your character? I think they pushed it even more. I didn't have any acting scenes for that because I didn't have a speaking role, so I had to show my entire character through those numbers, basically. So, yeah.
Do you have a different level of stress when you are on set versus when you're doing a theater play versus when you're doing a musical?
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yeah, I think theater I'm very used to at this point because that's what my training was in, and it just feels like home. So when I'm doing theater, I'm actually not stressed. I think I'm stressed.
Fully enjoying the
I'm just enjoying it. I think I'm stressed like before meeting everybody, like the first day kind of thing. But then, I don't know, it's just like people get really close really fast. So rehearsing is really fun. There's nothing really stressful about it. You know, you're exploring your character and you're allowed to make mistakes. I think theater gives you a lot of room for that. So I think it kind of takes that stress away. And then for some weird reason, I don't get scared on stage. Theater stage is like, you rehearse it for so long that once you get on stage, you're ready. So, and you don't really see the crowd that much. With the lights, the audience is kind of dark. So it just kind of feels like you're doing what you've been doing for 6 months. That you have so ingrained, so you don't really feel stressed out like, am I going to forget? You've been doing this for so long. It's like it's just another kind of rehearsal, but this time you're getting the energy from the crowd. So it's even more fun because you're getting live feedback. You know,
you feel the vibe.
You've been saying the same joke for 100 times, but now people are laughing at your joke, and you're like, oh, okay, and it feels good because it feels like you're doing something right. You have the crowd cheering for dance numbers that you've rehearsed and that is strong, and you finally get to show it, and you get that live feedback.
That's what I'm thinking right now, that it's an interesting also way to perceive it, because yes, in film and TV, you have multiple takes. Well, not sometimes multiple, but 1 or 2 take, or 3. Theater, it's one shot, but then you're right. Like technically, over the time, as long as you had enough time of rehearsals, it's ingrained in you.
Yeah, I think that's probably what stresses me out more about film is, well, now I'm getting used to it. I'm doing more this year, but especially initially, I think that was the one take thing kind of freaked me out, because there's a lot less build up in film than theater. Theater, you're in character starting backstage, and you stay in character for 3 hours. On set, you are not in character.
On and off.
You're, setting up everything, and then it's in character, out of character. And then it's like, you have to hit it in one take. And I think that's where I was more stressed of, am I going to be able to do that? Because I'm so used to building a character and easing into it and kind of staying in character the whole time. I think that's why there's a lot of actors that they stay in character on set, because if you really want that good performance that goes really far, you have to stay in character. You can't you can break in and out, but it won't be as authentic as if you're really focused on set, and then they start, you're already in it. You're already in that energy.
It's so funny.
We did the other day,
Yeah. But I remember I was also reading the interview. I think it was either with Anne Hathaway or Meryl, or about Devil Wears Prada, where I think Anne Hathaway said that Meryl Streep came in the beginning of the filming process, said hi, and she said like, well, that's the last time I'm nice, because then she stayed in the character entire time.
And that's theater actors.
That's like, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, you'll notice the difference on set when you work with theater actors and film actors. Film actors are very good at snapping in and out. Theater actors, they're more method. They'll for me, like, I can go really far with a performance, but I have to be so grounded and so connected to the character that really what would help me would stay in character the whole time. I could, you could show up and be yourself when you first get there, but then as soon as you're dressed, like, you're in character.
Did you have an experience when you took the role? I mean, when we say yes to this or that role at the even audition phase, right? Like, we realized that, okay, if I get it, then. But did you have a situation when you got the role, you got the part, but the character was too far away from Kelly as a person? Did you have a situation when it was difficult for you to connect with the character?
Yeah, definitely. I think in theater, you play a lot of characters that are not like you, and you kind of get the freedom to play characters that don't even look like you, because it's on stage and it's far away. You can trick a lot of things. You can trick age. You can play a character that's not your age. You can play characters that are different time periods. So a lot of the characters I played were actually very different than I was. I think one of the biggest challenge was the physical play that I did. We did 15 dogs, and I had to play a dog. And it was insane. The physicality, I've never experienced something like that. It was a boot camp of just training to
But we're walk. Like, okay, so you were not walking on 2 feet, you were walking on 4?
Yeah. So I had a director, Zach Fraser. He adapted the novel into a play, and it's about these 15 dogs that have they're like conscious, and they're like humans inside. So they can talk, but they're dogs. So we were actors, and we were kind of dressed like dogs. We had masks molded to our faces so that they would fit perfectly our face, and then most of the dogs had to learn to walk like on their hands, but I was the tall dog, so I had to walk on stilts on my hands.
Oh my God.
And then I had to just be in a constant, like, kind of gorilla shape on the ground, and kind of be in a constant plank or a squat for, again, like 8 hours at a time, and run as a dog, and I even had to carry another dog on my back. So yeah, I had to get really strong for that show, and it's definitely very different than anything I've done.
Oh, was it a comedy?
No, not even.
Not even?
No, it's a drama. It's kind of sad, actually. It's a lot about the it's weird because it kind of tries to tie in like human society and how dogs act. And yeah, it's sad. It's a lot of the dogs are dying, or like
just showing
leadership, and there's a whole leadership thing going on.
It's interesting.
You get a lot of the backstories of the dogs, and yeah, it's definitely not a comedy.
But the whole prep, and probably all the actors were exhausted after. Yeah. How many plays you had per day? 1 per day or 2 per day?
Yes, it's like 1 or 2 shows a day, and then it was 6 months of training.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was definitely very, very different than what I normally do.
Well, I had a question. What was the role that left the biggest trace in your heart? Any other than that? I mean, that's definitely a very interesting one. You wouldn't really get to have that kind of experience. Any other roles that kind of left a trace in your heart, saying, that was, for sure. I love that one.
I think the characters that I love playing the most are those really like deep, emotional, dramatic roles. And I got a chance to play a few of them, and my favorite one that really stuck with me the most was for my final acting scene in theater. We had to all get a partner and pick your final acting scene that you're going to do. Kind of like the final test, you know, because you don't really have exams, but that's the type of exam you'll have in theater. So I really wanted to challenge myself and pick a character that I know was my insecurity and that was going to be challenging for me. So I went with Maggie in After the Fall from Arthur Miller. And so my scene partner was playing Quentin and I was playing Maggie. And it's a character that's based off of Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller in real life. So it dealt with a lot of those things that I think are really tough to play, which is she's drunk, she's using drugs, she's depressed, and she's going through all of these emotions because she's having a huge mental breakdown during the scene. He comes home in the scene, they're husband and wife, and she's about to jump down the balcony. This is like her routine. She takes pills, she drinks, she's depressed, she wants to off herself, and they have a lot of love for each other. So you're playing that husband and wife that have gone through so much, and he's so sick and tired of her acting like this because she's been like this for so long, and he doesn't know how to help her anymore. So there's that part, and then there's her inner child that's coming out. She cries for her mother at some point. She's getting aggressive with him. They even like,
that's all the different levels, ups and downs in one scene.
Yeah, there's like crying, there's getting mad, there's acting like a kid, acting drunk. There was all these elements in this scene, and I think it was the first time that I really connected to a character. And I remember in rehearsal with my scene partner, we would not only rehearse the scene that we were supposed to do, but we'd rehearse the other scenes that were in the play where they are falling in love and they are, so that we would have that emotional connection to get to that point where they're married and they're fighting and she just became so real to me, even though she was so different than I was. Like, she became so real that when I was playing her in rehearsal, it wasn't me anymore. Like, I was completely submerged into the character, and I remember just looking at my scene partner. I was crying. Like, he was doing the scene with me, and I was just like full blown crying for the first time in a scene, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what's going on?" You know, I really
emerged into the character.
It stayed with me.
But that's, see, it's also I mean, like, we have different audience that is watching us, and there are people who are relatively new into the industry, and I consider myself also relatively new into the industry. But it's a good like advice, I would say, or a good tip. So if you have a strong emotional scene, play or whatever, even if you're preparing for something, that's great. To your point, yeah, to do something like, my acting coach, she calls it the moment before, but it's not really the moment before. It's like a piece of life before, to get into the right mindset, headspace.
Yeah, 100%, because you can go into a scene on the surface level and be like, okay, the husband and wife, they're fighting, they're mad at each other. But you can't miss the element of they love each other. They have history together. They had good moments together. What she's talking about in the scene are fights that they've had in the past. It's all stuff that, just to play that scene, you need so much history from these characters. Or even if you don't have access to it in the actual play that you're doing, you have to create that world, because it gave a whole other level to the scene. Everything we said was backed up by something, it all meant different things, because now we remember how they used to be. We know as actors oh, they were so sweet when they met, and they were, you know, this is why they're hurting. This is why they're acting like this. So yeah, you definitely need to go back.
I mean, that's very good also advice for the people who starting. I mean, advanced actors, they know all the different techniques, but that's a good one. I know that you are a singer, so going back to a multifaceted part of Kelly, you're also a singer, songwriter.
Yeah.
You also like what kind of dances you do?
Yeah, so I started singing kind of on my own. I didn't know that I could sing when I was in theater, so I didn't really explore that part. And then I just started writing songs, and I taught myself how to play guitar, and I always wanted to sing. I always wanted to, but I didn't know that I could, and I didn't really. I was kind of shy about that part of me, and I just started slowly on my own writing songs and performing in front of my family members, and you know, skip to now I have over 50 songs in my songbook, and I'm ready to start recording them, and that's what I'm going to be working on this year. And I've been pushing myself to perform, so open mics and just singing in front of people, because I don't know why I get so like nervous about singing.
I was just about to ask, like, so okay, like now bringing that component. So you have stress level in front of the camera, film, TV, theater, musical theater, performing open. I also did, like, I saw you like your open mic in the bar. I did my first open mic in the same bar like 3 years ago. So yeah, a different level of stress.
So, well, you know how vulnerable you have to get to sing. It's a part of your body that you feel it. You feel like open and vulnerable, and I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know why it makes me so nervous to sing in front of people, because I can act in front of people.
I was just about, and you can sing and sing as well in the musical theater.
Yeah, but then singing on your own and then singing like your songs too, it's even next level of just opening up and being vulnerable. And you know, I guess I love singing. I wouldn't say I'm a powerhouse either, so it's kind of like gaining that confidence of learning how to sing properly and being able to be confident in that and being loud. I think that's going to be my biggest challenge this year, starting to perform in front of crowds and just gaining that confidence and you know, just being loud in that department and owning it and learning techniques. I want to go more in depth, probably take singing lessons as well. So
did you take the singing lessons before, or
you kind of get a singing training when you're in the theater program. You have really amazing voice teachers. We do focus more on just voice, but there is a big singing aspect, so I did a lot of that, but I've never did a one-on-one with a singing teacher, which I would like to do.
It's a cool one. I love my singing classes. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the and I mean you had different films, etc., but the one that I wanted to ask more, the film, it was a feature film called Bing.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that was that kind of, as you mentioned, it kind of revealed or helped you kind of to understand a bit more your origin as well. So, and that you started also booking more roles after that as an indigenous actor as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. What was the plot? What was the story? And like why and how? And did you have any specific different way to approach the character and the preparation process?
So Beans, it's a Canadian film that came out during COVID. So 2020, it's about the Oka crisis, which happened in Montreal in the 90s. So it's a real story, and it's from the perspective of a 12-year-old Mohawk girl. And the director, Tracy Deer, she wrote it from kind of her experience her point of view. These are all people that a lot of the people that I worked with lived the Oka crisis, or they knew someone who lived the Oka crisis, and really there wasn't any or much information out there about what happened from their perspective. Even going into it to audition, I didn't know much about the Oka crisis. You know, I'm not from around here, and I tried doing research for the character, and I couldn't find anything about like the Mohawks. Barely. A lot of it are about what happened with just the Quebecois, and it's a lot of like the news of like the French side, but then there was nothing about the other perspective. So that movie was, I think, helped bring that to light, and real experiences, real people. And you know, a lot of our characters were based off of real people. My character was based off of my director's aunt. So it was nice to get to experience that with, you felt the emotion in the room when we read the script for the first time. And a lot of these people already were so connected to this. So it was interesting to hit that depth of a story of this is a real thing that happened, and it didn't happen that long ago, and there's still repercussions from it to this day. And you know, I didn't grow up with that side of me. With both my grandparents on my mom's side are Native, and I didn't even really know about it until Beans.
Oh, okay.
Because they were casting Indigenous people, and I kind of had to start like looking into my background and realize that I, you know, where I was from basically, because my family was completely converted to, you know, my grandparents were Catholic, and but you look at them physically and you can tell that they're Native, but I just didn't even know where I was from really. And then
so almost like started to discover your roots.
Yeah, exactly.
From that
like,
film.
And then just working with a bunch of Indigenous people and feeling so comfortable around them, I felt like, okay, this, you know, I should have known this my whole life. Just I'm already very spiritually connected, and I have all these things about me that I didn't really understand, and then I started understanding it by hanging out, you know, with other Indigenous actors and just getting to experience that and living it and filming that story and being in that story, and it just opened a whole new world for me. And after that I definitely started getting more like auditions as an Indigenous actor, and standing in that and you know, getting to know my origins more and hanging out with Indigenous people, getting to know my culture. And I'm still like trying to go more in depth in that. And yeah.
You also had an experience, you moved at some point of time to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Right? You had an experience going there. So, and you went there, you did have your acting career, so it was a whole journey continued there, right? The acting journey. And we know that Toronto and Vancouver are those two also cities that sometimes actors would look into in terms of, should I move there? So advices to the people, those that are thinking about moving to Vancouver, apart from having a lot of money in your pocket, because that's not a cheap province to live. So what was that journey, and like what advice would you give to the person who is thinking about moving there?
Right. So, well, when Beans came out, it was just during that COVID wave, and I hadn't been out of school for that long, and there was no more work for actors in Montreal. Everything like, you know,
No, it was COVID.
stopped.
COVID
So I
times.
kind of researched, you know, where could I go and where could I work.
Okay, so I get it. Yeah, Vancouver, they were less strict on their
Yeah.
limitations, right?
Yeah,
Back
exactly.
then.
They were still working. That was the big thing. A lot of their they were still working. A lot of the businesses were still open. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go over there and saved money before going. Obviously, it's very expensive. You pay $800 to live in someone's living room, basically, and that was before COVID, before the economy went like. So yeah, save a lot of money. And I went there, you know, I didn't know anyone. And then I figured I would just stay at a hostel the first night and try to talk to as many people as I could and try to, you know, get a connection right off the bat. I got really lucky because the first person that I met was like, oh, yes, my friend, he produces films and everything, and you should meet him. And so day one, I had already made a connection. And that group of people are pretty much who I worked with during the time that I was there. I was only there for maybe 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot a short film. I did a lot of modeling when I was there with him and met a lot of, you know, those Vancouver actors. And I wish I could have done more. I think because it's so expensive, you can't really stay there unless you have a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to act when I was there, so I didn't have like a side job or anything.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, you run out of money pretty quickly, but it was a really good experience. I think the city's really nice. I probably one of the best cities to live in. It's really pretty. You have the mountains and the beach and the city all in one place.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's why it's so expensive also to live there.
Yeah.
You also do teach drama to the kids, right? Like you did work in acting camp as well. So what are the specifics of working with the kids, for example, versus teenagers? And do you feel like it's a logical continuation of, I don't know, redefinition of your purpose as an actor? Do you see that as something that you would continue doing in the future more?
Yeah, I definitely love working with kids. I worked in a drama camp during the summers when I was in theater school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was directing musicals for kids from ages 4 to 17. So I was working with kids for pretty much the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I really fell in love with it. I think it's really nice to be able to share what you've learned. Mm-hmm. And because I was doing my theater program at the same time, I could kind of show them what I had
Mm-hmm.
learned, as you know.
You can apply right away.
Yeah.
Whatever you grasp in your program.
Yeah, and I think with kids it's a lot of fun and goofiness and also trying to get them to learn basic things.
How do you get to learn? Okay, I get the point. Those ones that are 12 plus, like my eldest son, he's 14. He can get the script. Like, okay, fine. How do you get those like 4 to, I don't know, 8, 9 to learn, or just to sit still, or to do?
I know it's crazy.
Such a great. It requires a lot of patience and special technique. I
found out that I'm a patient person apparently. And I think you gotta like working with kids. I think you need that motherly touch that I naturally have. And as much as it is like I care for you and I will take care of you, as it is like when I'm authoritative, you need to listen, just like a mom would. That's how I was directing the shows. So somehow I had 60 kids paying attention, you know.
60 kids.
Yeah.
60.
Yeah, and then we kind of split them up in 3 age groups, so you don't get them always all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the younger group, like the 5-year-olds, it's just very, you have to make it interesting for them. You have to build a story that they okay, like we did The Lion King for, you know, example. now you're little cubs and you're gonna crawl onto stage and then you're gonna go sleep here. So they know that they have to go there and they gotta, you know, hit their mark and they gotta go in their spot. But they're not seeing it that way. They're seeing it as, oh my gosh, I'm with my friends and I get to play a lion and now I get to sleep and just very basic, like starting to teach them one sentence that they say at the mic in front of the crowd, you know, and you're there in right next to the audience, and if they forget it or anything, you'll just like whisper it to them, and it's just the very start of them getting used to being in front of people, and they're also with their friends, so I think it helps.
Having fun.
And then 8 and 9-year-old, they're already like grasping it. They're already you know, learning a lot of the dances. The kids pick that stuff up so quickly, and a lot of these kids, they want to be there and they love it. So they go home, they practice the songs, they practice their lines, they come back, they're ready. We put on.
So it was not like an obligatory, right? Like most of the kids who were there, they were there because they wanted to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
That helps.
They love theater, and they, you know, it's the Disney shows, so they know these songs. They already love these shows. And then I think for me, what was the most rewarding was working with the teenagers, because that's where you get to go really far with it, and that's where I got to use more of my baggage and kind of, okay, like, you're taking this a bit more serious, you know, you're older, you still want to do this, maybe potentially, you know, go to college after that and pursue it. So I think for me that was the most rewarding, working with them, because you could really go in depth with it, and now they can learn like the real like acting behind it and the techniques, and you know, they had a singing teacher and a dancing teacher, and then they had me as their director, and they can really kind of go far with it. They're really talented. And then just from my perspective, being able to audition people and kind of see how a director looks at us helped me. And then having kids that are so free and so open-minded, and seeing them act, that helped me as an actor. Because
so how? Because I wanted also, it's an interesting thing. That question was not on my list of the questions, but that's a very interesting one. So first of all, casting others, how did it help you as an actor?
Yeah.
And then working then with the teenagers and the whole thing, how did it help you as an actor?
I think the main thing I realized, and I told this to my acting teacher, I was like, oh, I get it now. I told him that during my theater program. He's like, oh, good. Basically, the one thing that I've noticed is that as a director, you want them to succeed. That's the feeling that you have when you're casting. You want them to have fun up there and to show what they can do. I think as an actor, it's really easy to get nervous and to be self-conscious and to think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess up or I'm not good enough. But that's not what the director's thinking. The director's like, oh my gosh, please take it away.
Be the one.
Like, I'm rooting for you. And I think just the audition process is so scary, and it's the way we kind of did it with kids is that we try to make it as fun as possible, and so that they're not as nervous, and they kind of had to go like back to back, so they're not like on the spot and everyone's watching them. They were kind of like just lined up and doing it all kind of at one after the other, and trying to ease them into it and talk to them at the same time, and yeah, a lot of the teenagers that I worked with, I learned so much from them, just seeing how free they were, and they don't have those boundaries that we put.
Limiting beliefs that we have in the back of our heads.
We lose a lot of our imagination, you know, and even in the first week of theater school, my acting teacher did imagination exercises with us, trying to get that kid back. Because we lose that as an adult. And then that's why kids are so good. They're such good actors, because they really believe in these characters. They still have that imagination in their head that they can see everything in their mind. They don't have to pretend. They just really believe it. So yeah, they're so talented. Like they don't have those limitations that we put ourselves.
No, that's true. What's next for Kelly? Because I know you kind of did a bit of a teaser, so I know that you will be moving soon. That's why I really want. I was so happy that you were able to make it to our interview today. That I was able to get your story as well. So tell a little bit about the new chapter that you're about to start.
So I'm moving to Hawaii next week.
Oh wow! Okay, that's. I was lucky. I was lucky today, definitely.
Yes. So I'm going to be working as an au pair. So I'm going to be living with a family there and working with kids. And at the same time, it's going to give me a lot of free time to start recording my music and start performing.
50 songs and more to come, I guess.
And I want to start, releasing my music and focusing on that this year. So this job is really nice because I get to work with kids, and then at the same time I get a lot more free time than I would with a full-time job, because I don't work full-time with them, and you have that freedom, and I'm going to be somewhere warmer as well.
No winters?
No winter, which is hard. There's not a lot of work during the winter, and
yeah, it's very seasonal. The industry itself is also very seasonal. It's a roller coaster. So this year it's a big focus on bringing Kelly singer to life. I heard your songs on your Instagram. I love them. It's a lyrical style that you have.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Well, all the best to you.
Thank you.
Hope to see soon on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms. The new songs or the album.
Yeah, probably 3 albums.
Well, 50 songs, it's 5 albums easily, technically. I don't know how many, like 10 songs go into one album.
Yeah.
So you have already like 5 albums easily to record. So
exactly.
Looking forward
Once you
to
get
that.
the ball rolling, you just gotta have them ready to go.
Well, you will prepare it for the beginning of the journey, the new chapter. I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for spending the time today with us.
Thank you.
Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. A lot of new things that personally me discovered about musical theater, teaching the kids. And stay tuned for the next episode.